The prisoner arrived at dawn. Commander Jake Harris watched through the observation window as 2 guards escorted the alien into the detention facility. She moved with surprising grace despite the restraints, her elongated limbs folding at joints that seemed to bend in too many places. Her skin shimmered like oil on water, reflecting colors that had no names in human language. But it was her eyes that caught Jake's attention, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle on her face, each one tracking different aspects of her surroundings simultaneously. She was found drifting in an escape pod near the outreach station, Lieutenant Beck reported, standing beside Jake. No identification, no ship registration. The pod was old, pre-war design, probably stolen. Jake nodded slowly. The war with the Dominion had ended 3 years ago, but the galaxy remained fractured. Refugees, smugglers, and deserters from a dozen species still wandered the shipping lanes, searching for places that would take them in. Earth had become cautious about who it welcomed. Has she said anything? Not a word. We ran her biometrics through every database we have. Nothing. She's a ghost. The alien woman was brought into the interrogation room, a sterile space with white walls and a single table. Jake entered alone, carrying a tablet and a cup of coffee. He sat down across from her, studying her features. Up close, she seemed smaller, more fragile than her species typically appeared. There were scars along her arms, old ones that had healed in ridged patterns. "I'm Commander Harris," he said, speaking slowly. "Do you understand me?" For a long moment, she remained silent. Then her eyes, all 3 of them, focused on his face. When she spoke, her voice was surprisingly soft, with an accent that seemed to shift between syllables. "I know who you are." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He set his coffee down carefully. "Then you have me at a disadvantage." The alien leaned forward slightly, her restraints clinking. "You are the one who saved Meridian Colony. You are the one who refused the order to destroy the civilian ships. You are the one they called traitor before they called you hero." The room seemed to shrink. Jake's mouth went dry. Meridian Colony had been 8 years ago, during the darkest days of the war. He had been a junior officer then, commanding a frigate on patrol when Dominion forces had attacked the colony. His superior had ordered him to prioritize military targets and abandon the civilian evacuation ships to their fate. Jake had refused. He had stayed, holding the line until every last transport had jumped to safety. Court-martial had followed. Then vindication, when the public learned what had happened. Then promotion, medals, and a command position he had never wanted. "That's classified information," Jake said quietly. "How do you know about that?" The alien woman tilted her head, an oddly human gesture. "Because I was there. I was on one of those ships. I was 12 cycles old, by your counting. My family was fleeing the Dominion advance. We thought we would die that day. Then your ship came. You held the line. You saved us." Jake sat back in his chair, his mind racing. He remembered that day with painful clarity, the screaming alarms, the hull breaches, the desperate calls from the civilian ships begging for more time. He remembered the weight of the decision, knowing that staying might mean the death of his crew. "What species are you?" he asked. "Talon. We are traders, explorers. We have no homeworld anymore. The Dominion took it early in the war." Her voice carried a weight of old grief. "After you saved us, my family settled on Refuge Station. We tried to rebuild, but the war had changed everything. There was no place for us anymore. Why are you here? Why now?" The Talon woman looked down at her bound hands. "Because I have information. Information that your people need. But I could not simply transmit it. It is too important, too dangerous. I needed to speak to someone I could trust. Someone who had already proven they would do the right thing, even when it cost them everything. Jake leaned forward. What information? The war is not over, Commander. The Dominion did not collapse. It fractured, yes, but the largest fragment has been rebuilding in the dark sector. They are creating new weapons, new ships. In 2 years, perhaps 3, they will return. And humanity will not be ready. The weight of her words settled over the room like a shroud. Jake thought of Earth, of the colonies, of the fragile peace that everyone had fought so hard to achieve. He thought of the billions who believed the war was behind them. How do you know this? Because I was part of a smuggling crew that operated in the dark sector. We saw their shipyards. We saw their fleet formations. When my crew realized what they had witnessed, the Dominion hunted us. I am the only one who escaped. Her eyes glistened with something that might have been tears. I watched them die so I could bring this warning. Jake studied her face, searching for deception. He had interrogated prisoners before, had learned to read the subtle signs of lies. But all he saw in her expression was exhaustion and desperate sincerity. You could have sent this information anonymously, hidden yourself somewhere safe. I tried. No one believed anonymous warnings. They thought it was war profiteering, someone trying to restart the conflict for profit. But you, Commander Harris, you know the cost of hesitation. You know what it means to make the hard choice. That is why I came to you. Jake stood, pacing to the window. Outside, the sun was rising over the military complex, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. He thought about the report on his desk, about the budget cuts to defense, about the politicians who spoke of a new era of peace. He thought about how much everyone wanted to believe the nightmare was over. If what you say is true, we need proof. Coordinates, ship manifests, anything concrete. The Talon woman nodded. It is all in my memory. Everything I saw, every detail. But there is a problem. My species has perfect recall, but we cannot transfer memories through technology. I would need to work with your intelligence analysts, reconstruct everything manually. It will take time, and you want asylum in exchange. I want nothing but to deliver this warning. After that, do with me what you will. But please, Commander Harris, do not ignore what I have told you. Too many have already died. Too many more will die if humanity is not prepared. Jake returned to the table, sitting down heavily. He looked at this alien woman who had traveled across hostile space, who had lost everything to bring a message that no one wanted to hear. He thought about the young officer he had been at Meridian Colony, the one who had believed that doing the right thing mattered more than following orders. I will need to verify your story, he said. That will take time. You will remain in custody, but I will ensure you are treated well. Relief washed over her features. Thank you. But understand this. If you are lying, if this is some elaborate deception, there will be consequences. I understand. But I am not lying, Commander. I wish I were. Jake called for the guards, watching as they led her away. When the room was empty, he sat alone in the silence, thinking about the weight of knowledge. Beck entered a moment later, looking curious. What did she say? Something I need to verify immediately. Get me secure channels to Fleet Intelligence and the Defense Council, and pull all surveillance data from the dark sector for the last year. Is it serious? Jake met his lieutenant's eyes. It could be. Or it could be nothing. But I learned a long time ago that the cost of being wrong is too high to risk. As Beck hurried away to carry out his orders, Jake looked out the window again. The sun had fully risen now, bathing the world in light. He thought about the alien woman who had crossed the galaxy to find him, who had remembered the face of a junior officer from 8 years ago. He thought about how strange fate could be, how a single decision could ripple forward through time in unexpected ways. If she was telling the truth, Humanity had perhaps 2 years to prepare for a threat it did not want to acknowledge. If she was lying, he would look like a fool for raising the alarm. But Jake Harris had made his career on choosing to do what was right over what was easy. He had no intention of stopping now. He picked up his tablet and began drafting his report, knowing that what he wrote in the next hour might determine the fate of billions. Outside, the ordinary day continued, people going about their lives, unaware that everything might be about to change. The alien woman who knew his name had brought him a warning. Now it was his responsibility to make sure someone listened.